Hello and welcome to episode 21 of Let's Talk Tactics. I'm your host, Zach Bro.
Hey, I'm Dan.
And I'm Locke.
And this week we have a special guest who, honestly, we should have had a long time ago, like some of our recent guests. I wish we could have everybody at once, but we can't. It is Frey. He has topped the CM ladders consistently, at least as long as I've been tracking the CM ladders. I think right now, as of today, he's one of the remaining 15-0 people, or undefeated people in this current class match. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You are definitely. I remember the first time I ever met you was in the tournament Long Time was holding when they had the side event for the MR units, and I brought a slash and something else resist grace against you because I thought I had your team countered, and then you like Falcon punch Gafgarian monk subbed her off the map in like one gigantic hit, and I was like, oh. So I saw the store and the quicken. I was like, "Oh no!" Just hit for like 6K or something, and she was dead. And ever since then, I mean, you've been tearing it up. So yeah, for our guests, we like to kind of have a series of background questions before we get into the topic for the week. So tell us a little bit about your history with the Final Fantasy franchise, what got you into War of the Visions, and then how you got into PvP, or if you knew you wanted to do it from the start, or how you got to where you are now in PvP.
All right, thank you. I think how I got into Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy VII is the first game, like first Final Fantasy that I played. My cousin recommended it to me. So after I played it, I kind of like fell in love with it, with the story, with the graphic, kind of like back then. Then I proceeded to play like 8, 9. I skipped 10, but I watched my brother play it. And then I continued to play like 5 Tactics and then like 4. Then I skipped the series of like 11, 12, and then back again at like 13, 13, 2, 13, 3. So I think what I love the most is kind of like the story and the mechanic, the gameplay. And I think the one that I enjoy a lot is Final Fantasy Tactics. It's kind of like the job system, the ability to kind of like play and then move things around the board. That is what I really enjoy a lot. So when War of the Visions kind of like came to like maybe like mobile, my brother recommended to me and say, "Hey, you gotta play this. So go and download it." So I started to download it and play it on like day one. And I back then I barely play any games. I've been like away from the gaming scene for like a long, long time after I went to college and then went to work.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get back to it, I kind of like still learning how to play it back then. But what I enjoy from the get go is kind of like the PvP aspect of it, kind of like the ability to actually move around the unit by myself and actually learn what other people are using or doing. So I started with my like mediocre unit with just Medina, trying to move her around, starting with like med bomb and stick with it for like a long time because I don't have any other unit. I don't have healers until like I got Q free. So I play my play style is mostly like flash cannon, high damage, but try not to get hit because when I get hit, that's kind of like over for me. So that's kind
Right.
of like the beginning of it for me. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Cool. Yeah, I think a lot of us started off with that Medina bomb or against Medina bomb. It was one of the two. You either were always doing it, always against it, or both at the same time. I feel like it was so hard to find matches where she wasn't one of the units early on, especially because so many people rerolled for her. But yeah, so I mentioned earlier your consistent performances in class match. I know you've held the first spot in a lot of them, but have you actually finished first, or you're normally in top 10, right?
Yeah, I think the first one I was only like maybe like top 50, ranked like 41, 40 or something. And then the second and the third one, I was ranked third. I was kind of like the first on the top of the leaderboard for like almost all of the week, and then I screwed it up for the last few days.
Oh man.
Yeah, I was like head to head with like Raph for like
Mm-hmm.
most of them. Yeah, and then the last one with the missile one, I kind of like screwed it up. I ended at like maybe number 33 or something.
Screwed up, still top 50.
Uh,
No, I mean those are
yeah.
impressive performances, and like I said, I think today it's last I saw was you and Long Time. We're at the tied for first place. I don't know. I'm sure after the third time slot we might see some more 15 and O's, but definitely won't be me. I've already picked up 2 losses, but we'll see what I do tonight. So yeah, let's talk about Class Match 5. It's a very interesting concept. Like going into it with the 220 cost, I'll go over the rules real quick. 220 cost for units only. You don't have to look at vision cards or espers. You can bring whatever you want for those. And then there's 50% magic attack resist and missile resist. Now, it's not like reduce damage by 50% at the end like a barrier. It's literally just your stat of resistance is up by 50% across every unit. So it's interesting because it sounds like a lot, but you have to remember some units start with like -20 magic resist. So like you're still doing okay damage to them if you bring magic, which I'm sure we'll talk about here. But I realized about my teams that a lot of times we kind of take for granted that we have like Leona's Castle and all these lower, like maybe Cactor and lower level or lower cost vision cards that we get to kind of, tank our costs with. But now we have to do units, and you're actually forced to bring something that's MR or less unless you use exactly an 80 cost and 270 cost URs. Which maybe not everybody has Halloween Leela, so that becomes harder to find two, really powerful 70 costs. But there is Sakura, so Sakura and Victor are two of the biggest ones. But yeah, so it's been really interesting to try a team build for it. I guess, Locke, tell us a little bit about your experience so far.
So I started with using Ildira, Halloween Rairu, and Ilshra. And on the day one, I had 1 loss and 4 wins. And I didn't particularly have a bad time with this team. I was pretty comfortable with it. But just thinking ahead, I was like, you know what? At some points in the game, I made mistakes, or it was just really awkward to try to find, like, the heights. Like, I would go in for a kill with Halloween Rairu. He would get quickened, and he would go up, and then he would retreat because he can't hit anything with any of his. Like, he doesn't have any skills that have range 2, that are height range 2. Maybe
unless you
LB.
hit a 1, because you can go 1 then down 1 with like his hazard slash, but it has to be on a space that they have to be next to the height one.
Yeah, and a lot of times I'm at like a 4 height range and the enemy's at a 6 height range. So it's very difficult because most of the matches for some reason were always played on the sides. It just so happened that I always start on one of the sides, and the opponent for those matches also happened to start on the sides. So it was kind of awkward, and I was rethinking this, and I was like, you know what, maybe I will instead play Rinstern. So I switched Halloween Rairu to Rinstern, and I switched Ultra to Phoebe. And I also sorry, so actually I started with Ildira, but then on the day of, I was able to finish my Keenblade TMR. So I ended up switching Ildira for the second match with Glaciella and gave her the Keenblade, which is similar to Ildira's LB. And it might also be a surprise factor because you might expect Glaciella to use like Kiza's TMR or something, right? So then I switched to so now the team that I'm using now, I have Kane's TMR on Glaciella, so she can move 5 spaces and is hasted. And I have Keenblade on Rinstern.
Okay.
Okay, and then I have Phoebe, and I made Phoebe very, very slow actually, and I've also made Rinstern very slow as well on purpose. Because this lets me, like, I want my Glaciella to go and get one of the crystals the first turn, and then I want my enemies to move before my Runestern moves. Because if my Runestern goes first and he uses the TMR to raise everyone's agility, everyone's CT, then my enemy has the chance to act, right? He might see what I'm up to and then figure it out. So I want him to go slow. And I also want Phoebe to go slow as well, because with the hasted effect of Kane's TMR, when Phoebe starts casting Quicken, Glaciella actually moves the second time. So she gets to move and then Quicken, and then she gets to move again. So it's a 10 space range. And most of the time I can get off a surefire hit with that because I'm facing evade most of the time, right? So that's my setup. And of the 10 games I played with that setup, I won 9 of them. So it's been pretty good so far.
Nice. Yeah, real quick, just for viewers who aren't who are maybe listening to this and they're not playing the class match, or they haven't really looked a ton into it or autoing or something. The expectation here is that we're sort of assuming we're going to be playing a lot of evade, because with the missile resist and the magic attack resist, there's that's a nerf to holy and it's a nerf to sharpshoot, which are two of the primary widespread tools for sort of solving the evade matchup. Now, there's still things like Glaciella, who has her surefire burst. There's Victra and other thieves with their sneak attacks. So there are other tools. You can also cast like stop and stuff. Again, we'll talk about these in a little bit. But with the two major ones being nerfed that people have also invested into a lot for live PvP, with like Frederica, Killfate, things like that, evade has been extremely prevalent. So at least from what I've seen and what I've heard, I think there were like maybe 2 people I saw saying, "Oh, I haven't really seen any evade at all." I'm like, I have no idea where you are, or who you're, when you're playing, or what, but you're out of your minds. I mean, they're probably not lying, but it's just like it's crazy that how different the experiences can be. So Daniel, how has your class match been so far?
Yeah, so my experience from the start was I kind of got off to a rocky start. With classes taking up a lot of my time, I haven't had really a chance to practice as much as I would have liked to. I started off 3-2 the first day. I lost 2 matches because of hiccups with my double quick and Glaciella team. And I don't know, I feel kind of lame running this team because I guess we're hearing a lot about how there's like a lot of these double quick and Glaciella teams. So it's not really a novelty or anything at this point. But like I try to have a goal for each class match, and last time was running like my gunner team, and I got better at that. Even though you're not really supposed to practice during class matches, you're supposed to bring your A game, but yeah, like I said, I just haven't been able to practice. So I'm running Glaciella, Miranda, and Shell. And I've been able to get Miranda and Shell around the same agility. So basically, I start out with like hasting them, and running Glaciella forward with bells. And by the time the turn order returns back to my team, I keep them within affinity range. But obviously that even one quicken like on a team, like not to mention 2, like it requires a kind of a tuning, so it kind of depends on a match and my movement and decisions and stuff. But generally I like hasted Shell, hasted Miranda. They can quicken, they can like their quickens go after Glaciella, so she gets a triple turn on turn 2. And I like to run her on Ninja sub. Because of not just the accuracy from Decider of Fate if I need it, but like the ability to just move around the map with Poison Mist. Generally, you use Glaciella's first turn to really kind of prepare her as she moves forward, So instead of like doing like a store, you could do a Decider of Fate, or you can Poison Mist if you really like, if your opponent like kind of sees you coming and they like disengage even further into like their corners or whatever. She can easily like cross the distance with the Poison Mist. I run her on Shukuchi as well as Jab Mastery, so she has that extra move and jump. So yeah, I've been doing pretty well. I only got those 2 losses because of not having practiced like the quicken like cast times,
the opener, and like the choreography exactly. of it. Yeah,
like somebody was talking about in the Discord, like, oh man, I feel bad for this person that had their quickens get off at the same time. And I read that after the fact, but I was like, yeah, that's exactly what happened to me those 2 turns, yeah. Those 2 times. So once I fixed that, like today or yesterday, I went like 5-0. So I'm feeling pretty good about my prospects moving forward. I haven't met any mirror matches yet though, so I still have like that aspect to work on in class match, because I'm pretty sure we're gonna see it at some point. So we'll see how it goes.
Cool. Yeah, I've been using Ruinstern, Victora, and Shell. So instead of doing a double quicken, I have like double targets. So depending on the matchup, I can choose who gets the quicken for turn 2. I didn't do a lot of tuning beforehand, but the way I set it up, it ended up just kind of working. I got really lucky, where Shell cast haste on Runestern, stand still, Runestern, illusion buff, run up. I'm running full evasion too, so I have Shiva, Scion, and Seekers of the Heart on the team. So then, yes, illusion, run up, get the first crystal. Then Victor gets to use Kane TMR. So now she has 5 movement and haste, moves up in between. So she's within affinity of both Stern and Shell. Stern and Shell are too far apart, but she gets both. Then the second turn, the way it works out is she can walk up and quicken either person or either unit, and it goes after both of them. So they both get to do something, and then, the quicken goes off, and I can either do Ruin Stern, like Roar of Ruin into AoE everybody if they stood in one place. I can do a Victor LB. I could do, I think there was one time I did a sneak attack to kill a Venera on like turn 2. I just like ran forward and ran around her and just stabbed her in the back. She was just dead. I did like the damage buff for once, the dragon skin. Almost never use that skill, but yeah, it seems it's pretty mobile with the Victora being able to kind of run interference on the sides. There was a match against like an Agrius where she had all the like sentinels and buffs and everything in the world that she could want, but I just steal time like constantly on her, and I got up to like a 6 slash chain. It was silly. I think all of my units took 4 turns before she finally got another turn because of the steal times and stuff. So someone in my chat was like, "How are you gonna handle this Agrius?" I'm like, "You wait, it's coming." Imperil the shell to get the resistance down. Yeah.
Great boss Agrius.
Yeah, right. Seriously though, I mean, she ended up getting a turn. It was very impressive. I was surprised she didn't die. Like once I ate through the saintly wall, I figured she was just gonna die, but she held on. So yeah, it's been interesting. Like the evade mirrors are frustrating, but also I think they're kind of rewarding too. I know Locke, you've talked about before, like the evade mirrors being really cerebral, where you have to really think about positioning every single turn. Who's going to have the side, who's going to have the back, which way do you face after a turn to make them go in a certain spot, and all these things to think about. And yeah, it's frustrating. You see an 82% you miss, or they hit on something had to only be like a 10% or something. Like it goes all these ways, and it does suck sometimes. But it's really no different than like a 17% petrify off of Mustadio, or I don't know, Daniel got petrified. Or like a like coin flipping Agrius. It's 48%. Like if your percent to hit somebody in the first place is 48, that'd be really frustrating. So like, just think of all the times you either missed or hit a disable, or your opponent doing the same. Like the games, there's so much RNG. It's really hard to pick which RNG is the real sinner. But I've kind of enjoyed the evade matchups sort of masochistically, but maybe it's because I have Roar of Ruin on the team. I don't know. Could be biased on that. But wait, Daniel, did you have a comment? Looks like you were.
I was just thinking like getting hit by that seal evil. It's precisely why I'm using Ayaka's TMR on Miranda, not just for the agility tuning, but because she doesn't have an Esuna, like I would expect a red mage too. So it was really nice to be able to recover from that petrify, and I just wanted to bring it up, I guess, real fast. Maybe people don't really remember the whole petrify thing because it's literally in Mustadio, but yeah, so being able to remove that petrify and seal that win was big.
Yeah, actually, I didn't realize I removed petrify. That's good to know as well. So Frey, walk us through your team, how you got to the current team you're using, and your experience so far.
Yeah, so current team I'm using is a Charm Evade team with Raudor, Jiza, and Elshra. So I thought through a couple of options. At first, I think
What
about...
a team! Hold on, did you say Raudor, Victora, I'm sorry. Yeah, Raudor, Victora, and Elshra?
Raudor, Jiza, and
Ziza.
Elshra. Yeah.
Oh my god. All right. Whew. All right, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So initially I thought about like running double quicken Glaciela, but I tried it out and I feel I'm not that comfortable with running her. Partly maybe because I was running her as an evade option, and I feel like her damage is a bit lacking, and I'm not that comfortable with only like one main DPS on my team. So I kind of like shifted away and thought about running one of my favorite team, which is the Triple Rune Knight, like Holet, Halloween Raru, and Elshra. So that was pretty fun because when I run it, I found that they're pretty reliable at hitting evade teams when I have them with like Alex Ring and with Icar and VC, especially with luck up card like Secret of the Heart. But the thing that made me kind of like hold off on that is I feel like the team would be a little bit too squishy if I run into like double quicken like Glaciela or Kane. I'm not sure if Holet would survive like double hit from the Glaciela, even with like Mastery TMR. So I decided to go with so I decided to go with my current team because I feel that even though the evasion might not be like a top notch compared with Venera, I feel like it's still like decent enough to mess people up. And with Raldo and Jiza, I can have them like bulky enough to withstand like some hit from someone like Kane or even Glaciela, even though I learned that Raldo might not survive Glaciela because he got like crushed today earlier in my match. Yeah, but I found that it's been going well for me because one of the things that I learned is that when running against evade, I need to either stack up on accuracy or I need to hit them with like a reliable status effect that can shut them down. So I found that Charm is pretty effective in doing that because
Sure is.
because I feel like out of the super evasion unit, I think only Runestone is like resistant to Charm. So I feel like they can shut down like Venera, Victra, shut down like Glaciela, Kane. I feel like I have most of the bases covered with that. And I also run my Jiza with Zombie Mask. So she's pretty like tanky. If she dies, she would pop back up. And I also run Elshra on White Mage sub. mainly because I don't expect her to be doing a lot of damage anyway. I would rather have her as a support to heal and top up Raudo and Caesar and hope that those two kind of like dish out enough damage. And Raudo also have pretty decent accuracy and also have his TMR on in case he need even more accuracy. Yeah, and surprisingly, he also do quite a lot of damage. Like he has one shot like Halloween Raril from time to time, still do decent damage to Glaciella. Yeah, so it's been going pretty well. I feel like the downside is the match is super long for me. It went down to turns almost, I would say like 90% of the time.
That's my
Yeah.
kind of game right there. I love those grindy games. I assume you're running Raldor on Sub Thief then, if you're doing evade.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How has the evade seemed? I know you can't see people's percentages on you, but just kind of like feeling it out, how effective has that been?
Yeah, I think he's been pretty fine. When I tested it out, I feel like he is about as evadey as Caesar. So not that
They're
bad.
almost exactly the same on the charts. Yeah, I actually forgot to mention that. Yeah, they're like I
Yeah.
think Caesar's like 23rd or something, and he's like 24th. They're like literally one place away from each other.
Yeah. So it's been going pretty well, especially like if he doesn't have anything else to do, I was just using to steal vision or sometimes just steal time so that Caesar can go and then got another shot at like steal hard or like do a countdown to land doom. Yeah, so I feel like it's pretty disruptive.
How often do you see yourself using like Steel Vision on him as kind of like a like an engaging kind of skill?
I'm thinking through it. I think from time to time, because when I feel like, for example, if someone like Raryu approach me, right, I know that just Shadow Cast is like gonna cut it. It's gonna slash my whole team to death. So if I have no option based on like the turn order, I would maybe like run in and steal time him, or maybe like or steal vision him. Yeah. Sorry, was your question on steal vision or steal time? Maybe I got it fixed up.
Kind of, it kind of both. Like I
I think
really
it's just
like
how do you use the non-damaging thief tools?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I use steal vision when I know that I can't one shot the unit, or maybe like when the unit is charm, and it's just steal vision them to make sure that if I break the charm, they can't hit me. Steal time, I think it's been pretty clutch for me from time to time when I need to stack the turn order. For example, if I know that they just break the charm and that unit is gonna go next and then gonna hit my unit, sometimes I use Raudo to steal time on, let's say, like Dwayne, so that he went way back to the bottom and then can steal time him again. Yeah.
Sweet. Have you found a lot of use out of sneak attack also?
Not a lot. I haven't even
Okay.
used it once this class match yet. My concern with that, when I test it with my team, is I'm not sure whether it would have enough damage to one shot, even like with a unit.
Yeah,
He might
yeah.
need like 2 shots, even with Igar and BC. So, yeah.
Yeah, because plus like his weapon obviously doesn't support the slash bonus, so you
Yeah.
have to kind of work a little harder to get that damage up. Makes sense. I've been really enjoying it even on Victra, but she also has the advantage of having like 30 ice attack on her spear that doesn't save for pierce damage, so she gets the bonus on the sneak attack, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I realized today that I think there's 4 or 5 45 mod ice weapons once Oron comes out. There's gonna be a greatsword, a spear, a katana, and maybe it's just 4. But like, why does ice have all these tools of like these 45 mods on like every weapon type? It's crazy. And then there's like one a lightning sword and a fire sword coming out like in the far future, and then the lightning spear. Other than that, oh, and then the staff too. But yeah, I realized that today. That's crazy. Ice is just so stacked. It's so dumb. So I know before the cast started, Locke, you made a funny comment, but I think you have some actual thoughts regarding the funny comment. So do you want to go in on that?
So, previously, in like especially in Class Match 2 and 3, which was repeated, I saw a lot of Agrius, and I got kind of fed up with Agrius. In the last class match, Agrius was okay because of like there was a very long map, and I was running range and was able to like slowly knock her down her shields, and so on. This class match, I was hoping I wouldn't see Agrius because I expected to see a lot of evade. So I said, okay, Agrius doesn't have like a self buff or anything. You can put some some accuracy on her, but hopefully I won't see many Agriuses because it's evade meta. but I was wrong. She's still there, and she's still like the hardest matches that I'm facing. Um, it's just so hard to like peel her shields and everything, and so like I've had 2 losses so far of the 15 matches, and one of them was to her. So it, I don't know. I mean, I guess like maybe the people that are running it, like in my head when I'm running this, I'm like, okay, everyone has advantages and disadvantages. The team that like the matches that I'm having the hardest time against are those tanky teams, bruisery teams. So Aegis is going to be difficult for me. Evade is going to be easy. But I'm wondering, like, how does usually I see Aegis with Halloween Leela, and if you have Aegis and Halloween Leela, you can have another MR, or you have to have like Sakura or Victora or like another 70 cost unit, right? So most of the time that I've seen, it's been like Aegis, Halloween Leela, and Sakura. And none of them. Well, okay, Sakura does have a guaranteed hit, but it does low damage. So in the back of my head, I'm wondering like, how do these people play evade teams? I mean, I guess they stack accuracy on one unit and hope that unit hits something. But against like a Venera with that's full evade, I can only see the maximum hit chance being like 50 or something, right? So I don't know how well that team is doing, but against my team, it's very effective. So
yeah, I think yeah, the damage from Sakura and Halloween Leela has been shocking. I know I have my friend I mentioned a lot on here, and we'll have him on here at some point. Brian, where he was using Raldor, Elshra, and Halloween Ryu for a while, and he was trying to go for the quicken combos and the Rune Knight stuff and stacking accuracy and whatever with Raldor on relatively tanky build. But then he switched. He's like, I'm just gonna try this, and he switched to Sakura, Halloween Leela, plus his Raldor, and it didn't look. His comment after his games, after he won them all, was the damage I'm doing feels like what the damage should be if this were a balanced game. He's like, this is like the damage I'm doing is what it should be in the first place, but this is after the 50% resistance and everything. He's like, this is ridiculous. Like it's unreal how much damage that those two units can still do. Especially we realized afterwards too, the Typhon card giving 20% magic attack resist. Like, so if you think about the plus 50 everybody's getting, 20% of that is 10. So you're ignoring 10 of that bonus already. Plus, if they're already negative, then that's even like it's a lot. Very, very good, very solid, and it gives accuracy, so you have a little bit more game against evade. You have Sakura with the sure hit, and the sure hit, you're right, like it is a low mod, and it is a lot less damage than any of her other abilities, but it's still a hard hitting magic ability because she's a hard hitting unit. So it's been very shocking.
Stack that with Soul Tomasa with the extra 10 penetration.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, man, the Halloween Leela Sakura thing. I think that if you haven't seen it affect, besides against your team, because it's just kind of weak too. I think they're doing very well right now. Frey, have you seen similar things with the teams that nobody expected to see, but we are? The Magic?
Yeah. I ran into like some Halloween Leela. I feel like in one match she did like minimum damage to my teams, but then in another match when I charmed the opponent's Leela, she then proceed to like LB their own kin for like 4.9k. I was shocked. It was like, what is that damage? Yeah, so and that taught me to not underestimate like these matches. At first I thought like, oh, they are like, gonna be like quite an easy match. I can just approach them carefree, casually charm them, but I feel like it's not gonna be the case anymore. They're still pretty crazy.
I mean, especially because specifically Sakura and Halloween Leela we're mentioning because they're both 70 costs for whatever ungodly reason.
Yeah.
They get to chain together with the light attacks. Like if Sakura goes like LB and somehow you don't die, like you're dying to that holy that's coming after on a 4 light chain. Like it's so much damage. Yeah, oh sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, it's interesting, like for those players that don't run bruiser teams generally, like this is kind of giving them an idea of what it's like to run a bruiser team. Generally, you can expect to find these units at around like that kind of resistance, you know. It's interesting to see like what they do with it, you know, like if they go ahead and still run mages, you know, against other teams and see how it goes, like Brian's doing, or you know, maybe they don't take it into account and just, you know, run whatever they have available. But it's funny. Kind of going alongside that, somebody mentioned in the PvP Discord, they were like, I think this is eventually going to come down to bruiser teams winning out in the end, like it always does every CM. I was like, does it always end up like that? But it was an interesting comment, and it kind of stuck out in my head. Like, I wonder if it will trend towards that.
I feel like the end of last CM, bruisers were very viable, but I wouldn't say they were necessarily at the top. I also wouldn't say missile teams were necessarily at the top either. There's actually a lot of surprising variety last CM.
Yeah.
But I think for the first one, especially like you showed, like you were just in there with your Grace, Killfay, Rain, one of you, and good luck team. And then CM2 and 3 obviously were Agrius all over the place with Killfay, Leela, like those bruiser teams. So that 100% I agree. And then last match we just said. So I mean it's a fairly accurate statement.
There's some weight to that, and like obviously we've looked at teams that kind of like enhance like the those like resistance bonuses, like whether you want to stack missile or magic or just stack slash and pierce. Wow, that was interesting timing. But just like end up having like a Grace like unit with like resistances across the board or whatever. I think like I don't know if we've really considered the opportunity here as far as building like a balanced or an let's face it, like an imbalanced bruiser team. But it's like I'm curious to see if anybody really tries like bruiser teams moving forward.
Yeah, I had one build for Grace that had her with the 50% on the map. She was going to be null slash, null magic, null missile. And it wasn't conceding too much in her build. I think realistically I would stop at maybe 85 slash or pierce, whichever one I choose to be resistant to. Because you can stack either one up to like all the way to 100 with her, but you kind of have to commit a little bit. But I think if you went down to like 80, 85, you could have like some sort of damage in your vision cards as well, and maybe make a team out of that. I had her with like Thancred, like another lower cost unit too, but that was weird. But no, I mean there's people like Thancred. Rain can stack up pretty high with the missile and magic. Not that, again, I guess you have to weigh the benefits of like, should we even worry about stacking missile and magic if they're already good at it and they're going to go up to like 80%, like don't even bother investing. But going into like slash and pierce as well or something. I'm obviously ignoring strike because it's Raldor and like the random sub monk Cecil, I guess, and then Glaciella if she actually uses that instead of like her big AoEs. So I'll probably end up trying bruisers by the end of it just because it's going to feel more comfortable and I may get sick of being evade quicken nonsense after a few days. But I also like winning matches and the team's pretty good so far, so we'll see kind of where I land on that. So Frey, any other thoughts as we're going through this? That I know we've kind of been taking over the conversation a little bit. Sorry.
No, this has been fun. So I don't know. I feel like it's still TBC on who's gonna come up on top on this kind of like CM. I feel like Bruiser is usually pretty strong. It's also one of my weakness. I don't know how to fight against them that much, and also I don't know how to run them. But with this CM, I feel like Evade might make a comeback if the Bruiser doesn't really like stack the accuracy enough. What I think might be interesting is the emergence of like Charm Evade since the last CM, right? So I feel like it's making quite a disruptive impact on a lot of units because if you can't hit them, if you got Charm, and then it could turn the game around. So I don't know. I feel like we might be seeing a little bit more of Charm Evade on the scene in addition to Bruisers as like another viable option that people tend to stick to.
Now, do you specifically mean Ziza, or do you mean like units like Ravias, Seymour, Victora, like those as well, or what do you mean?
Yeah,
by
I feel like those as well. For example, like running Giza, Victora could be pretty disruptive with 2 options of Charm. I ran into like some of the mixed Bruiser Charm comp with, let's say, like Agrias, Ravis, and can't remember the third one, maybe
Rairu.
Yeah. So those 2, like 2 of them are Charm resistant, and then the other one, Ravis, is pretty painful. And I also came across like a Ravis with, I think, like the Bloody Moon Esper, So when I check her stats, she has like 25 resistance to charm. So when it came across that team, my charm evade team can't really do much against them. So I feel like those kind of like mixing in bruises and charm, like a mix of like different type of team together, we might be seeing kind of like those things a little bit more.
Yeah, Ravias has I think an innate 10% as well. So yeah, I think Bloody
Oh,
Moon would-
okay.
yeah, it's not a lot, but it is some. I think Bloody Moon's 15, right? So 25 would make sense. Is
No,
that
Bloody Moon is 25.
Bloody Moon is 25? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, because Ravias R Zach R alphabet. There we go. She has 25 and 8. Never mind. So she just has
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
yeah.
So that's why. Yeah.
So if you put Bloody Moon on her, profit. But I mean, you just don't necessarily have to. But yeah, so she's already got that built into her kit a little bit. I realized that last class match when I copied Raphalos' team. Almost said Raphiz, Jesus. Where he had Seymour, Ravias, and Victora. Or was it? No, I'm sorry. Who?
Victoria,
Victoria
Ziza,
Venera.
and Kane.
Yeah,
No,
Victoria Kane.
Seymour, Ravias. Who was my third? No, Aziza. It was those three. It was triple charm, whatever it was. And then I did a
Okay.
different one that was Victora and Ziza. Okay, there were two different charm teams, but the one with Seymour and Ravias, Seymour has I think 10%. Ravias had like 25%. I realized my team itself was actually pretty charm resist too, and I found that really interesting. That's the only reason I knew about the Ravias thing. But yeah, no, I totally agree. I think we saw Mako post screenshots of him playing the Halloween Ryu, Agrius,
Yeah.
and Ravias team, and it was hilarious. He had a screenshot where Victora charmed both his Agrius and his Halloween Ryu in the same LB, which they are both 50%, so that's a 17% multiplied by faith. Like that is so crazy on both of them.
It's like Silly Evil or something.
Yeah, and he somehow still won, but good on him.
So basically, kind of what I'm hearing from all this is that like it's not like the meta isn't set. It's not you're not running into 3 teams. I know I kind of feel like that's I don't know if it's a common complaint, but it's a ready complaint. You know, like oh god, maybe I'm just gonna skip this class match because we're only gonna see 3 teams. And I think just maybe even purely coming down to like the RNG of like who you run into. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I think that there's still a lot of room to see different matchups. There's still the rock paper scissors aspect at play.
Yeah, I think it's pretty reductive to just say like, oh, it's going to be these 3 teams. Like we don't know that yet. It's been 2.5 days at that point. Like we've only seen, I think when those comments were being made, there was like the second time slot was like half over. Like you can't just boil it down like that when other people like I understand anecdotes don't really matter when trying to like prove like facts a lot of times, but when you're literally talking about what someone's playing against, like that is like they are not playing against just evade. Just because you're statistically you are seeing them more doesn't mean everybody is. So like there is the variety out there, and then you can start accounting for well, what rank are you? Are you in diamond? Are you in platinum? Like where are you? Are you masters, top 100, whatever? But most of the people having these conversations are all over the place and towards the diamond level. So there is the variety out there, and like I think myself, I've played at least 4 teams that weren't evade. A majority of my matches are, but it hasn't been just that. So I don't think, yeah, I agree. I don't think we can just say that. And real quick before we continue, well, actually no, get your rest of your guys' thoughts on that.
I have a couple like kind of ending thoughts, but I don't know if now is the time.
Oh, okay, so Locke, do you have anything to add to that?
I've faced 4 evade teams. I've not faced any double quicken glacial teams yet, but I've faced some single quicken teams with So the most interesting team I faced was like Gilgamesh, Rinstern, and Zazan. And this guy, for some reason, had the foresight to know what I was doing.
Was that Stevie Supreme? Because I faced that team yesterday too.
It could be. I think his name started with an S, so maybe that's who it was. But it was funny because like I was looking at the turn order and I was like, okay, so Gilgamesh is going, and for some reason, and he starts casting. So I was like, and the cast is going to be done before Zazan goes, and Zazan is the only one that's going, like nobody else is there. So I was like, okay, I don't think it's going to quicken Zazan because it doesn't make any sense. So I did my thing where I used my Keen Blade, and my Glaciala goes up, and she couldn't hit Zazan, so she just goes and hits somebody. For some reason, it quickened Zazan, and I was like, "Holy shit!" He saw this coming, and he like quickened Zazan like just before. So then he charmed my Glaciala, and Glaciala went and attacked my team. But so like, but my point is there is a lot of like interesting comps that I'm seeing. Comp that I saw that was really interesting that I lost to was two Rune Knights. So it was Howlet, uh, Halloween's, sorry, so Howlet, Halloween Rairu, and Shell. And his Howlet was on White Mage sub, so he would use like Protect and Shell on Halloween Rairu, and he had Marshary's TMR. So Halloween Rairu was like very difficult to take down. Actually, everyone was difficult to take down. I was trying to like store and one shot Shell, and I couldn't. So, so I was like,
Wow.
I don't know what this guy's like putting on him, but all of those things stacked. Like everyone had like Protect and Shell, and like right at the get go, he started moving back. So I couldn't even do my combo because like I didn't have enough range to go and like hit anybody, right? So I don't think the meta set. I've only out of the 15 games I've played, I've only played 4 evade teams that are like full evade. I think it's all over the place. I think people are like, because if evade was the only thing that everyone is playing, I think you would just stack accuracy, right? But I see a lot of very high, like tanky bruiser teams. One of the teams I saw with Agris today had DM Vision card and Odin, and the third one I don't remember what it was, but it was not an accuracy card, and it was like Agrias, Halloween Leela, and Victora, I think. No, not Victora, and Sakura. So I was like, okay, Sakura has some guaranteed hit, spells, but how are you handling evade? I have no idea. Like, I don't think anyone else is hitting any evade with like no accuracy VCs,
Yeah.
right? So, like, are you losing 80% of your matches? I don't think so. So, my point with that is that they're not only facing evade. I think they're facing like a lot of things. So I don't agree with the comment that evade is all you're facing. And I personally haven't even seen a double quick and Glaciala team yet. So
Nah, man, you're lying. It's impossible. It's a different experience than others have had, and you got to get out of here with that. No, yeah. Sorry. Were you?
No, I was done. So
Okay,
that's
okay.
what I meant. Like, I don't think that meta is set. I don't think you only face like 3 teams or 2 teams or whatever. I think that's I think it's in a good place right now. There's enough variety.
It's easy to get frustrated, right? Like if you are that person that you've had 15 games of evade in a row and you just don't have the tools to really reliably seal those evade matchups away, I can get that's frustrating. Like I get it. I've been there. But the solutions exist. You may or may not have them, and we've talked about, reserve your expectations based on what you have access to. It's a gotcha game. Not everybody can have everything unless you have like an unlimited credit card limit, which isn't everybody. So like there's only so much you can do sometimes. So in that same vein, I just want to go kind of rattle off a few things quick. Let's say abnormal solutions to evade, which we've talked about before, but we'll talk about it again. TP abilities cannot be evaded. So any sort of evasion chance doesn't apply to TP. So like casting stop, like hard casting stop, can hit a unit normally on like say 48% if you're both 97. And if a unit is stopped, they can't evade. If a unit is asleep, they can't evade. If a unit is disabled, they can't evade. So if you find these TP skills that are on units, like say you're using Howlet, maybe you have sleep on. Does he have sleep? Before I start saying this, on his red mage sub.
I don't know.
I think so.
I think
that
he has,
sounds
yeah.
right.
I unfortunately have not been able to use.
He
does.
When I use, like it reminds me of Rain,
Yeah.
because Rain has this one and sleep it.
Yeah, so Howlet has sleep. So maybe you're using Howlet on red mage anyway, because you like your jamming thrust to interrupt spells. You have your Yasuna and Kira for some AP generation, because his AP is awful. You have sleep. Like if you land asleep, maybe not on Venera because she's immune, but now they can't evade anymore. Or if you have, say you are also using an evade team and you're struggling against evade, Charm obviously is a very effective solution, but Kitone, if you have accuracy or if you have luck stacked up, you're going to be roughly equal to your opponent, and if you hit your LB, you stop them, and then the rest of your team can come in. So there's a lot of things like that. Arithmetician sub that gives you the disable It's a big AoE. Based on certain heights, it'll go up or down in chance, but that can hit, and then you can't evade there either.
I just want to say real quick, always remember you can 100% hit a unit that's casting.
That too.
People forget that so many times, so often.
Yep. Like if a Katone, if you're against a evade Katone and they go like cast haste on somebody and walk up and you can hit them, they can't dodge while they're casting. It's a mistake I saw somebody make last night, where they were charging and they're like, oh, sick, okay, stab, you're dead. Like, I think it was like a Ayaka on an evade team, and she casted haste or something, or was casting something she shouldn't have been, and she just got stabbed and died. Like, there was no chance. It was 100%. So there are these other tools. That's not an exhaustive list, but disable and stop are two of the biggest ones, and sleep is also up there. It's just, the chances to hit all of them vary based on the units you're going against. Some are weak to these, some are strong against these, and or functionally immune. But knowing these other tools exist is pretty important. And we mentioned the sneak attack and glacial stuff earlier as well. Frey, any comments going into evade besides just stacking accuracy?
Yeah, I think you cover it pretty well. One thing I would add is maybe like Doom is also pretty good because it's based on phase, so they can't really evade it. And if you charm them and Doom them, you can just keep charming them, and then they will just die. And one cool thing about Doom is it bypass Immortal Spirit, so you don't have to worry about like them not dying. They will die anyway.
Just a floor. I love when someone dies from Doom. Their turn starts just beep, just fall over. They have that little like shriek that.
It's
so funny every time. Every time.
4 turns, but.
Oh yeah, that's another tip too. If you are doing the charm Doom thing and you need that unit to die, and like they still have another unit that you're kind of keeping away, and they can potentially break your charm, don't steal time them. Because if you steal time them, they take less turns and they die slower. There was a match I almost lost because of that, because I wasn't gonna let the unit die in time, and it was a 1-on-1 and they had more health. I had to have the Doom hit, but I was running out of TP and I didn't stack my stuff right, and I stole time. Like, oh, what am I doing? And they died on like the exact last turn of the game. But it would have been way smoother had I not done that. But okay, any last thoughts about the evade stuff before we move on? Actually, sorry, one last thing I thought of too. I saw a Mont do very well last night. It was a team that I've never thought I was going to see. It was Nivlu, Mont, and Venera.
What?
It was the weirdest motley crew of units I've like ever seen.
Wait,
and
Winter Venera?
No. Old Venera. They were evade. Like they had the evade cards on, plus like either Blades of Grass or like a slash, some kind of like a damaging Esper or damaging Vision card on Mont. And I watched them win against like a Raldor Quicken, whatever. Like I was like, oh my god. The Nivlu dodged on a 93, so okay, there's one thing. But that was an example of a match where Nivlu casted haste, and you're just like, oh, cool. Just punch you and you're dead. But then Venera was hard to hit, and then Mont didn't die and won the match eventually. Wow. I think he LB'd. Like, he was such a champion.
How are you gonna waste all your AP on his LB? Build stacks for Venera.
Just complete styling on him, yeah. Now, one funny thing though, you could stone throw into Nivlu to do a lot of damage, but anyway, so beyond class match, we'll touch on class match again next podcast. Kind of talk about how, like right now we're talking about it's not stagnant yet. There's a lot of variety. We'll talk about what that variety kind of became next week. But for this week, I thought we could talk about sort of the new drop the new bomb that was dropped on us, which was the winter units, which I don't think anybody was expecting. If they were, they have clairvoyance. I have no idea like how they would have guessed it. If anything, I would have guessed the like summer units for some reason, like giving us a chance at Lilith and Summer Katone before the anniversary. But yeah, we got Winter Victra and Winter Venera. So show of hands, and then Frey, you can say I. Who went for Victra? Okay, so 3 of us. Who went for Venera?
Yep.
so I wasn't gonna go for any of them until Daniel here sent me a message and said he showed me the math for how efficient it was to max them both, and I had already pulled for Victra, But then I decided that if all I had to do was a step up to get Venera, and then she was gonna be maxed without me buying any shards. So besides the like 5 a day for 60 paid, so I was like, sick. Like I'm just, how can I not? Less than 30k Visior
As a
to
spender.
do all the pulls to get them both and max them both under the price of regular UR. It's insane. I get it. I got baited. I'm gonna have to spend more on the anniversary if I want to get everything. I know.
I apologize.
Yeah, it's not your fault. I did it. It's my fault. Personal responsibility. I will take it, and so will my wallet. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with them both. They have interesting kits. I don't think they're anything like meta breaking, but they're very cool combinations of tools to have in like the same unit. So I'm pretty excited to see what they do in live PvP. So Frey, you said you got Venera?
Yeah.
Nice. Had you already have her max? Did you like turbo her, or are you kind of taking it slow?
Yeah, I turboed her a little bit, so I already used her in like 3 matches. So she's been
Nice.
pretty fun. Like I used her sub ninja, so she do like this 3/ combo, and then followed by like Varu, and then QP doing her like Earth Staff thing for like 5k or 6k. So she's pretty fun to use so far.
Oh, dude, she's Dream Within a Dream. So Dream Within a Dream into Hazard Slash. Oh, the Earth
Yeah.
Slash chain. Holy moly, that's so much damage.
Yeah, or even like with the Dream Within the Dream followed by Drain Evocation, that is also crazy.
Oh, she sounds sick. I like that. It's a good way to like. Oh man, that's like a
all your
one-shot
health
into a
back.
one-shot later. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a
Huge
day to
nice.
be alive, stacking all these different elements nowadays.
That's crazy. So you've enjoyed her so far. Do you have a maxed fist, I assume?
Yeah.
Nice.
I farm for like 2+5 fists
Yeah, same.
for like Rauda and Venera. Yeah.
I think I'm actually gonna end up buying the recipes for those ox metals to get enough recipes to do a second fist. Although I don't know if I have the wind, Chris, but I'm just hoping we get those back at some
Yeah,
point
you'll
from
get
some
them
other farm.
eventually.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited. My Raldor's still 89. I think my Venera is actually gonna max before him, and she's not even L4 yet. But now for those of us that got Victora, has anybody used her in PvP yet?
Yes, so she's currently bugged right now. She won't use Saintly Wall like ever. So which is really unfortunate because like that's obviously like kind of a game changer. So like there's a select like I don't know crew of people that are already like waiting for this to be like updated or fixed or whatever.
Wait, so for general farming, or do you mean for? I was asking about PvP. Like, have you used her in live yet?
I haven't used her in live. I've
Okay.
been busy like building stuff and doing class match and not having time to do anything else.
No, I understand. Yeah.
But in terms of like arena, like running her on a team, like people are already like testing out like her platinum bow and her defense penetration and stuff. But yeah, it's kind of just bringing awareness to the fact that like if people are thinking about using her, especially because of the missile attack up Snowy Mountains map that we're getting for arena next Monday. If you're planning on using her in that when whatever like team, just keep that in mind that Saintly Well is kind of currently broken for her.
I think for auto stuff like arena and guild battle, you're gonna want her on dual gunner. I would feel like just because it has so much more range. Because despite the name sniper, snipers don't have long range compared to gunners, which is so dumb. But I think it's like generally it's one less on average, if I remember correctly. So most of the sniper stuff is range 4, and then dual gunner is. Oh, I guess actually, that's still. Oh, it is just. I must just be thinking because they have concentration on the Rangers. All right, never mind. They're all the same. It's 4. My
That's what I was
bad.
thinking.
All right.
I think it's 4 too.
Oh man, I shouldn't talk about gunners. I haven't played Lucia like ever, or double gunner. Sorry.
Yeah, it sucks. Snipers don't get really like because they don't get concentration. Like they get a +2 and a +1 passive, but the +1 passive is just called long range, and it just increases your range by 1.
Yeah.
It does. It's not like what is it, Ranger lore or whatever.
Ranger
It
lore,
does.
yeah.
It doesn't add like luck or whatever, so it's kind of lame. But
Accuracy, yeah.
when you need that range, and that range is a game changer, then you settle for it.
Yeah, I mean you can use stuff like Lucia TMR. You can have another missile unit that has the like range 1
Aim
missile
fire,
tech buffs, aim fire. Yep. Or does the dual gunner one that she doesn't have also give range, or is it just like
No.
defense penetration, or what is that buff?
It's a missile attack up, self defense penetration up.
Okay, gotcha. So while we're on the topic of defense penetration, there is something cool about Winter Victora, which is with her innate 20 from her master ability, defense pen, plus tune up on 40, and her own target buff of 40, she can actually just ignore defense entirely, which is pretty insane. And the target buff does give her +1 range, so she'll end up getting kind of that second range from that buff. Do you guys think that's going to be super impactful, or how do you feel about that? Oh, I'm sorry, the 20 is not from master ability; it's from the platinum bow. I'm sorry, misspoke. Which I guess this leads into a conversation about platinum bow in general as well.
I think it allows for this niche, right, of having an answer for like a bruiser running forward, and using sentinel, or using like a defense raising skill like that, like Winter Victoria is just gonna laugh in the face of that, like, goodbye, like I'm just gonna do my normal damage. There's I think a spot available for that, but like I said, it's niche. I don't know if people are really going to bank on that as a game changer when you already have something like Dispel Spread, which just dispels the buff itself. So it's hard to tell, and I think right now we don't really see Engelbert anymore. It's mostly just like Warrior Fight, or Agrias, or maybe even like Halloween Ryryu with his. He can get kind of tanky, but I don't know. It's hard to tell. Luck?
Yeah, that's kind of what I feel, and also like, so she will most likely will already have the 40% from the tune-up ability, right? The 40 defense penetration, and most of the time, like especially if you're running her live PvP, you will want to get Saintly Wallop first, but then the second buff you probably want to get is her target buff because you want that extra range. If not that, unless you have like somebody else that's giving her range with like a TMR ability or something. So if she already has 80, do you really? I mean, like unless somebody's running 100%, 100 defense, that extra 20 from the bow is not really so useful for her. Who I think that would be useful for is Rosa, because Rosa will, like, she already has a damage modifier with that ice crystal arrow, right? She already does 38% more damage because of that reduction in ice resist. But if somebody is building very high defense, like even with that reduction, that defense will stop her damage. So by giving her an extra multiplier of doing 20% extra more damage, well, not extra damage, but ignoring 20% of defense, I think with that bow she will do a lot of damage. I think that would probably be the best bow for her, in my opinion, but probably not for Winter Victoria. I think just the +15 missile attack bow is better.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be generally better against units that aren't building defense too, right? So it is, penetration is a percent. You ignore whatever your defense penetration value is, percent of their total defense. So if it's a squishy unit anyway that has like 20 defense and you ignore 80% of it, or even if it's just like 40%, she hasn't even buffed, like you're ignoring what, 4 or something like it, or was it 8? It's really not that much. So yeah, and I do agree also with the diminishing returns. Like, you already have the 40 plus the 40. Like, do you really need that extra? And you want to have the variety of having the +15 missile against the units that you don't need the defense pen for, so you're still consistent damage across the board.
Frey, any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that. One thing that kind of like make me hesitate about building Winter Victoria now is her accuracy, right? Because I was running Nif last CM, and she couldn't really hit evasion units, even though I stacked quite a bit of like accuracy on her. If I stack accuracy more, she might be able to hit like the evasion units more reliably. But Winter Victoria, I feel like she's really shines with her X. She get like a range passive. She get like +2 instead of +1. She also get like a skill which is like a barrage range that debuff attack and magic, which pairs really well with like Fred. And her dex goes up really, really high, right? So without her X, I feel like I really like her kit with her X kind of like potential, but without that, I'm not sure how viable she would be at her current state, especially with her accuracy, right? And her range is about the same as Lucia, maybe a little less because of she doesn't have sharpshoot. But if she came across like evasion unit, she might have a lot of trouble. So that is like the big part that makes me kind of like hold off on pulling her.
I think while we're on the topic of Victoria, I just want to mention specifically the fact, like her resistances. She has 50% sleep and 50% slow resistance. The slow kind of just makes me think of Kane's LB. But if we do ever get Summer Katone, her LB is like one of those 67% sleep inflicts, I believe. So not only is Winter Victor going to be a counter to Summer Katone as a fire unit, but being able to resist sleep is going to be powerful against, like, as a counter for that.
Yeah, she's only -5 to magic, which isn't that bad. So it wouldn't be hard to make her really advantageous against her. I agree. I saw some people mentioning that she had low attack, but she really doesn't. She's like double 20% passive. Like, she has really high attack, especially like, okay, if you compare her to Dwayne or something, yeah, her attack's a little low. But for a missile unit compared to the other ones that you generally see, even on like a full build, unless you have like A-Freyd stacked up, they have what, Locke, would you say like 700, 750, like in that range tops for
missile attacks? Yeah, I a lot of times I see like Frederica with like 600, 700 attack.
Yeah, 600 something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really hit like 800-ish unless there's like an A-Freyd or VC or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this might not be 100% accurate, but I'm pretty sure if you just give her like a bow, an average Esper, and then you have like you just have regular gear on, she ends up around 700, above 700 with all of her stuff factored in, all of her 20% and everything else. And I think does she have a passive? I don't think she has a passive for attack. Am I in the right unit here? No, I'm. Alright, so she doesn't have attack there, but yeah, no, her attack goes really high. She has double, what's it? On her board, she has 20% attack. Yeah, so it goes pretty high. Venera's the one with a double 20. That's what I was thinking. But yeah, I guess while we're talking about winter stuff, we kind of glanced over Venera. I got a little excited about Victor. Sorry. Has anybody used her in live PvP yet? Besides, I know Frey, you mentioned you've been using her a little bit, but Daniel, have you?
No, yeah, like I haven't really.
Same deal, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had the chance to really practice even my CM team. But the one thing I'm looking forward to seeing is her LB with the Earth and Peril. That and being able to shine next to Raldor. She's kind of like the magic tank to his physical tank.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing them. And I haven't really decided who to use for the third unit in that team.
In my head, I just had the Dragon Ball Z where they like do the fist together thing to like fuse. I was imagining the Winter Venera and Raldor. Together, we're unkillable. No. And then Locke, what about you?
No, I haven't. So she's at level 40.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I actually wasn't planning on getting her at all. I thought Winter Victoria was cool, and I wanted to get her because I play Rangers anyway. Especially now with Livelu, I'm getting back into Rangers and stuff. So I decided I would at least try out the. It was only 6K paid viz, so I got her on the 2K, so that was awesome. And then on the day of CM, I was able to finish Rob, but I didn't have enough of the. I don't know what it's called, King Burst Pot or whatever, to max his keen blade effect. So I'm like, okay, well, if I get to third stage. Stage 3, then I can at least get 100 parts and build it up to level 10 or something.
On the 9 step up?
Yeah, on the 9 step up. So I did up to level 3, and then I got a Venera. So I was like, okay. So I ended up doing the whole 9 step. And I've already maxed Victoria, although she's only level 75. But I stopped, I didn't, I have enough shards now to get up to LB5, but I stopped because I need enough spears to get all the bonuses for Venera. So I haven't really played around with either of them. They're just sitting there. I've just been practicing my CM team a lot. But yeah, the thing that I like about her the most is the same as what Daniel said, that magic resist. Because I have been using that buff a lot, but mostly on Ildira. So it'll be interesting to use it on like a melee character. Melee unit.
Yeah, between the magic resist and the magic barrier, like she's gonna be very bulky against that. And I mean, you could put like Fenrir on her too if you really wanted to, and give her that extra HP and the agility and stuff, get her in there, and then just magic resist across the board.
Yep. I just didn't farm any fists, so I'm stuck with a +3 that I got from completing that mission.
Fair enough. Oh, isn't it critical too?
Is it? Ah, damn. Well,
all right. I have a solution for you. It's gonna sound. I know people hate these, but there's a +3 fist in the shop for 1K viz. It's assault, and then you get one recipe from the ox metals, and you can combine them into a +4 assault.
Maybe.
Just a thought.
Just a thought, yeah.
if you want the assault version instead of the crit, but
even for my CM team, I'm using a +2 sword on Runestern right now, and he only has like 200 out of 226 attack, but he still one-shots like whatever I need him to. So
imagine how powerful Locke would be if he just farmed like +5. Oh man, it's like the here's all the references today. The Rock Lee weights on the legs. Anyone knows that scene from Naruto? Oh man, he said training wheels the whole time. No, I think I made that reference before. But
the funny thing is, I mean, like I mentioned, I was looking through my units and I realized that my Frederica was like at like job level 14, and I mentioned this in like the PvP Discord, and so I did the last CM without her fully maxed out. So for this CM, I was looking at my units, and I've been like practicing like all week with like the Runestern Phoebe Glaciala setup. And like right before CM started, I'm like, I should probably check to make sure they all have their job levels. And then, well, Glaciala and Runestern and Halloween Ryu do, but Phoebe did not. She was at 12, 12, 12. And I was like, wait, I don't want to max her because I don't know if this is going to mess up my agility. So I was like, wait, what? Okay, this is okay. I don't need it to be maxed because I don't know what it's going to do. I don't know if it's going to like.
well,
mess
you can go on
everything up.
War of the Visions calc and you can take her job levels up, and you can see when the agilities are granted. Also, like you might be able to do like 2 levels before it happens, but
Yeah.
man, just retune after.
Shell gained 3 agility from level 94 to level 99.
Yeah, I think who's the other unit I saw did that? I think it was Venera. I went from like 94 to 99 or 92 to 99. She got like 3 agility. It's ridiculous. Like, oh man, it's crazy.
Finishing a vision card or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like putting Fenrir on. Yeah. All right, cool. So wait, Frey, are you on the? Do you 15 all of your units?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
from the class match team. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, not just in general, just like whoever you're going to be using for a particular class match week.
Yeah, only for some units. Like sometimes I've also forgot. Like for example, like I just got Caesar to 15, 15, 15. Like just before this class match. Yeah, I didn't check my unit that often, so sometimes I missed out.
Sweet. Also, I guess one last thing too. How did all your guys' raids end up? Because I know we talked about that a little last week, but we had the rest of the weekend and everything to finish it. Did you guys finish your +5 elf cloak, or where'd you end up with that, Daniel?
I think I ended up at like rank 233 or 260 or something. I was pretty much autoing the entire time. But yeah, while I was struggling with homework and stuff, I was just, like, it was really nice to be able to auto it. And, like, as far as we can tell, this trend is going to continue. So I can't complain.
The bonus unit really made it rewarding for me to like watch the gains come in. I was like every clear, even on solo, I was getting like 1100 medals, which is ridiculous. So yeah, once I found an auto setup, yeah, it felt great. Locke, how about you?
Yeah, same. I was just autoing the whole thing. I think I ended up at like 517 in total rank, and I had the +15 cloak and not +15, +5.
100% pierce resist.
+5 cloak, and I made sure to farm enough materials for like other things, because a lot of times, like for example, the Soul of Tomasa, I just bought the 63 recipes. I didn't actually build it, but now I have enough materials to build that. I'm not going to yet because I don't need it right now. But other things that like the Joyful Hearts and stuff. So I made sure I had like 4,000 of those, and I have. So if another raid comes out with those materials, I can build it. I just need the recipes. Right. So that was my goal, and I was able to reach that goal. So I was pretty happy with that.
Nice. And then Frey, how did your raid go?
Yeah, it went pretty well. I was at rank 40 something. I was like auto solo all day.
You say 40 something?
So yeah, oh, sorry,
wow.
My connection was a little bit. Yeah, but yeah, I was like 40 something. I got like max medal like 999,999, and still
Congrats.
I still need to think like what I'm gonna get. Yeah.
Man, I thought I did well getting like what I have, I total I think I did 350,000 medals or something, and I thought that was good. And then I'm seeing these pictures of people with like 99999 across the board. I'm like, my guildie posted a picture. He had the entire like top half of the shop bought out, all 99 recipes of everything, all the materials, all bought out, and then he still had 600,000 medals. I'm like, how? I don't understand. Oh my goodness. I guess I didn't figure out an auto setup till like Sunday, but well, I didn't figure it out either. I found it on YouTube, but and I was able to replicate it with 3 units. But yeah, it was, man, you guys are impressive. I wish. And Daniel, were you about to say something though about the shop thing?
No, not really. I mean, I still have like 600,000 like medals to spend. I think I'm waiting until like the last day, just so I don't run out of buying like the 5 medium energy pots. Those are the real priority.
Fair enough. So yeah, guys, any closing thoughts this week before we wrap up? And then, like I said, we'll continue talking about CM5 next time as we get more information and have played through the whole period. But for now, I think we're good on that.
I have a couple. I just want to hear if anybody else does.
For me, I think practice is really good, and like you can just practice on a normal match. For me, it was like, especially if you're playing like double quicken team or quicken teams. With me, with like the Keen Blade, as soon as I got it, that's all I was doing for like 2 hours. I was like I already had a goal
Ruining
in mind.
people's days is what you were doing.
No, because I would actually lose often, because my goal there was to, like, before I started, I'm like, okay, no matter who I'm facing and whatever the position, I'm gonna try to get my combo off on the second turn, even though I know it's gonna work on the first turn, because just in case like the opponent starts at the opposite end of the map on CM, I want to know how this looks like where do I need to move and stuff like that. So I did like 15, 16 variations, and I got this thing down where I can like get my combo off on the first, second, or third turns. Like I know what to do, right? So like I think practice is key for that. And I tried like moving, like sometimes I would only move, sometimes I would move and like do an action or whatever. But I got it down so that I'm pretty comfortable enough to work out that that set of sequence of steps to get my combo off, right? And that really only comes with practice, in my opinion. So like if you want to do it well in CM, I think you should practice. I think we've been repeating that message for a while.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Just hammering it home.
Sounds like you're like studying a chess opening, where like you have like your set moves in the game, but you have to like know the variations based on. Sorry, chess been on the mind lately. But Frey, what about you? Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think practice is key. And what I would maybe add is also around don't be afraid to experiment with like new teams or like new play style that you haven't tried before. If you're like, I echo what you all say around like there's no set meta that this is the one team that's gonna rule them all. I feel like there's so many viable teams, so many play styles. Even if you run like double quicken, there's also like many different ways to run it. Do you go first turn or do you go slow? So I feel like there's so many ways to run them. So don't be afraid to try things out, and don't be discouraged if you feel like you are losing a lot. I feel like if you find your rhythm and you're enjoying it, I feel like there's a lot of many viable options that you can play around. Yeah.
Maybe the most wholesome message ever given out on this podcast.
I'm so impressed. You guys managed to cover the 2 thoughts that I was going to bring up. I'm so glad that I waited. Like I was worried that was going to sound lectury or whatever, but like yeah, like similarly to what you guys are saying, I really encourage anybody listening, if they're not really in the habit, like please like practice your team beforehand if you have the chance. Warm up for like 10, 15 minutes. Treat it like a sport or whatever. If you're trying to do well in class match, like treat it like a tournament. Like however you want to look at it, like just try to get in some practice beforehand. Warm yourself up. Not just warming up before your matches, but like try to develop a strategy and an answer for like these teams that you're like anticipating. And instead of getting frustrated, like try to have like a constructive response. God, this sounds lectury, but I'm trying not to be like that. But like, and then kind of like alongside what Frey kind of closed with, like, don't get complacent and assume that your team that's working currently will always work against any matchup. You know, like don't go into a match like assuming you're going to win, because like you can still make mistakes. You know, positioning there's a variety of decision making mistakes that you can still make even with a team that has the advantage. So yeah, just try to keep that stuff in mind. that's pretty much all I had to say.
All right, perfect. I think that's good cap on the podcast. Thank you everybody for joining me as usual. Frey, I hope you enjoyed yourself. Appreciate all the insight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Yeah, man,
so,
it's blessed.
absolutely. So we've been Let's Talk Tactics. I was your host, Zach Burrell.
I've been Daniel Boone.
I've been Locke.
And we will see you next time.